Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan, and my guest today is Brittany Hansen. Yes. Brittany's business is called Vision, but Brittany has this very varied life, which is super cool. We were just talking about this. And so you have this company, but you also homestead. And you call it micro-homesteading, which totally got my attention. So, Brittany, thank you so much for being here, and I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to share your message for one, but I'm loving hanging out with you.
Well, I'm loving it too, and I'm so excited to get to talk with you. And it's amazing to find like-minded people. And I would definitely call what I do micro homesteading. My husband and I live on a third of an acre with our four children, and I grew up on n never less than like 5 acres of land. And I had ranching people on one side, farming people on the other. I have a deep love for the earth and the things that it can do for us. But when we moved into a neighborhood, which is something I'd never had, I didn't know what to do about, homesteading. We'd always had cattle and various other things, and there's just not room for that. And it's also not allowed in a neighborhood. I did look at mini cows. I was like, we could probably swing this, right? And our
That is totally
HOA,
a goal of mine. I'm gonna have a mini cow.
they're the cutest things, and it's like perfect. It's the right amount of milk. But our HOA was like, absolutely not. And so I started looking at ways that I could help my family to produce some of our food. So we would know where some of our food came from. And we started with berries. So we have a really impressive berry patch. We grow blackberries and raspberries and honeyberries. Um, started into fruit trees. So we do some of that. I even have like indoor citrus trees because we live in Idaho where it's way too cold to grow citrus trees. And then got into backyard poultry, which people probably assume is chickens, but for us it's not. For us it's quail. My kids are allergic to chicken eggs, so we got into raising quail. And then kind of the final piece for us for now is beekeeping. So I have 3 hives on our property, and it's a lot of fun. It's just the way that the feelings of homesteading and that achievement of providing food for my family gets to be a part of what I do, but being realistic for where we live and what we're able to do.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I think that's so cool because I know people would think, if you're going to be um if you're going to be growing food and whatever, if you're going to be taking care of yourself, you need lots of land. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're used to having a lot of land, but you can do what you can do with a third of an acre.
Absolutely. I
Olive.
grow, yeah. And while I can't, like, I'm not growing all of our wheat or anything, but I can grow enough tomatoes to can enough tomato sauce for us to eat, all winter long. And I can um, grow enough berries to make jam. And then I can find other farmers in my area to get the other things that I need. And when I can't, I can go to the store, even if it's not my most favorite thing.
Right. Totally. And so do you have people in your neighborhood or you just have farms that are nearby and you can be like, can you trade stuff?
Yes, we can do some trading at the height of berry growing season. Like in July, we get a gallon of blackberries a day. And so I can trade that with other people, which is really cool. And then we're really blessed to live in a part of the nation where, 20 minutes in any direction, there's a farm for something. There's a bunch of orchards in the fall. We go and get apples for like 30 cents a pound. And um, there's lots of places where we can go glean potatoes for free around here. So it's kind of a mix of foraging and trade and purchasing. And it takes a little extra time, but it's a lot of fun too.
Well, and then you're getting to know people near you. I mean, and like
Absolutely.
I actually love the idea of trading and like learning what other people can do and, work together. There's a whole like maybe you can help them out and get a discount on stuff or oh my gosh, your honey, it must be like gold and great for trading.
It's true. Although we keep most of it for ourselves, our hives are new enough that we're not getting, the amount that other people get. We want them to establish. Um, But yeah, and you'd be surprised even how many people, big farms at the end of the season will be like, we have so many tomatoes left and it's about to frost. Why don't just whoever can come and pick. Um, there's a lot of people out there who are so willing to just give. And as long as you're a member of the community and you're giving back too, that's a really welcome thing. It's a lot of fun.
Totally. Oh my gosh. So now you said you have 4 kids.
I do, yeah.
You have help with the bees and the quail and stuff. Like, are they pulling their weight?
They definitely help with the quail. They're really good, especially in the winter, to make sure everybody's taken care of and heat lamps are on and all those kinds of things. I don't have them help with the bees because bees are so there's kind of a delicate ecosystem there, and your bees kind of get to know you. So I'm the only one who ever gets in the hives. But they help with everything else. They're helping pick berries, they help with weeding, all of those kinds of things. Absolutely, because
Cool.
they need to.
Right. Well, I mean, you grew up in the field, so like, or farming, ranching.
Yeah.
So, you wouldn't want them to not know how to do that, right?
No, it teaches work ethic.
Put
It's
them
so
out in the world with
important.
no experience? Come on.
Right. Yeah. And it's worth the fight, right? Because no kid wants to go out and weed the garden. But it's worth it because someday
They'll appreciate it.
they'll, yeah, they'll know.
They'll know
So,
what to do with it and they'll take care of it because they have the experience for sure.
yeah.
Oh gosh. And so you were telling me before we started recording, so you were saying that it takes 3 quail eggs to equal 1 chicken egg. And so
Yeah.
you guys can imagine this. I was saying I was trying to do math, like 3 eggs equals 1 egg, and then so you have 6 people in your house.
Yes. So we keep, I have about 35 quail right now. A few of those are roosters because I like to, we incubate every spring. And you need the roosters to kind of keep the hens in line. But the vast majority of those are our hens, and they will lay once a day from the time they're about 6 weeks old. So we get a lot of eggs every day. But you need a lot of eggs every day if you're going to eat quail eggs. They are really substantial, though, as far as nutrients go and all of that. They're pretty cool. They're kind of a little magical superfood.
That's very fancy. I mean, they must be just like compact, like just nutrient dense. Are they more yolk than whites?
They're not, and they're so different. To anyone who's interested in this, like, please reach out to me because they're the most interesting thing. So they're not more yolk, but they are. I think there's, and I used to know all of this more before I had to ease off a little bit, but they're higher in antioxidants than regular eggs. They're really protein rich. They're also the weirdest little things you've ever seen. So quail, because quail are sort of a natural, they're a wild animal. The membrane inside of a quail egg is so thick that you can't crack a quail egg. You have to cut it with quail egg scissors to crack it. Um,
You have
the
special scissors.
yes, you order the you order special scissors. They almost look like a cigar cutter, and they just cut the top of the egg off, and then you dump it out because the membrane is so thick to protect the eggs from being harmed that a traditional cracking of an egg like that would just make a mess. Like you would not get what you want from
And
that.
36 eggs.
Hmm. Yeah, so like if I make German pancakes or Dutch babies, depending on who you are, I will crack 36 eggs. And it's actually really fast. You just cut, dump, and cut and dump and cut and dump. But yeah,
Wow. That's I was just thinking like that many eggs with a cutter must take a little bit, but it sounds like you've got it down.
yeah, it's the crazy things we do for our kids, right? To cook without eggs is a nightmare. So to find something that he could consume was absolutely amazing. And on the plus side, I mean, there's always trade-offs. Quail are crazy easy to keep. They're not like chickens. They don't need a roosting box. They don't need to run. They can't free range. And they don't get close to you. So they're really low maintenance. And then the eggs take a little bit more effort,
All right.
but it's worth it.
And so you said they don't need a nesting box and you said they don't need a roost, but so they're just laying on the floor.
Yeah, so we have two outdoor aviaries that are on the ground, and then they have a nice covered roof. They're about, I don't know, 9 or 10 feet wide and about that tall. And my kids like to joke that every day is like an Easter egg hunt. You go out and you look through and figure out where all they've laid. They do like to lay, they enjoy a sand bath, just like most chickens do. So we'll often find them in there. And we do provide some like shelter for winter time, but sometimes they go in there and sometimes they don't. They're just very wild and um, very excitable and fun, but different than chickens for sure.
Right. But they don't, so for 35 quail, they don't take up a ton of space. I mean,
It,
you have two aviaries, but you don't necessarily need to.
nope.
You just built the Mac Daddy quail.
Kind of. Yeah. And especially because when you bring new babies in, you want to phase them in so they don't get beat on and things like that. But they don't need that space. Quail like to be close to each other. They like to be able to feel each other. For my own peace of mind, I like to see them sort of run around and have a little extra space. I don't love the idea of anything being in a super compact space. Um, but they're very happy and super easy to please. So
That's awesome. You're the first person that I've met that keeps quail,
it's
other than
kind
the
of a
guy
growing,
on Instagram that we were talking about.
right?
I don't
It's a
know him.
growing thing. It's a growing thing. More and more people do it just because they're not, so many HOAs don't have rules against quail. So people can keep them with and not get in trouble with their HOAs.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's smart. Okay. Did like a doctor tell you when you found out that one of your kids or your kids were allergic to chicken eggs, that quail eggs are a possibility, or did you have to like try all these things?
We looked it up. So how it worked is he said he's allergic to chicken eggs. You can try duck eggs, is what he said. And so I found a woman here in Idaho who raises ducks, and we went over to get some eggs. And she said, "Well, have you thought of quail?" And I thought, no. And she showed them to me, and I thought they were so cute. And she said, "I'll have these babies will be ready to go in just a matter of days." And so we went back over and bought a bunch of babies from her. And then, in order to keep kind of genetic diversity, I've ordered eggs from all different places across the country. And they're the cutest, funnest, most ridiculous little things you've ever seen as babies. I mean, it's adorable. They're
Yeah.
just small little puffballs with
I was
attitude.
gonna say they look like little pom-poms that jump.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. And so bees are your new thing, you said.
Yeah.
They're not super old. Um, how how did you like do training to get into that? Or do
Yes.
you
My
have that in your
husband,
family?
no, we didn't have it in our family at all. It was another thing that I got into partially because I wanted better crops coming off of my own land, and pollinators are a thing. And so my husband at the time, his boss was a beekeeper, and he said, "Well, just bring your wife over and I'll teach her what she needs to know." And he did. And there's a really incredible beekeeping community in Boise. I've been shocked at just how big it is. And so my first winter, I lost all of my hives to colony collapse. And it was a real learning curve for me. But the community is amazing and has taught me so much about how to stop that from happening again, and where when it was time to get newbies, where I could go to get bees. And I even got really lucky and had a swarm land in one of my abandoned hives and take up residence there.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
I was like, I don't know how to handle this. And so I took to my beekeeping tribe, and they were like, just let them. It's perfect. This is amazing for you. So it's a lot of fun. It does take time to keep bees, but it is a really it's an amazing thing. And each hive has its own personality that you become accustomed to, and it's usually because of the personality of the queen.
Mhm.
That a hive behaves a specific way. It did amazing things for our berry patch to bring in bees. It
That's
was
cool.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you don't think about it, right? But if a flower doesn't get taken care of by pollinators, it will not produce anything. And so having bees on your property makes a big difference.
That's really cool. I mean, I'm scared of bees, but I
It's
have
fair.
when I was in Maine, I had a neighbor just around the corner from me who is a beekeeper, and she was like, "I bet my bees are over at your house." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But I always thought bees stayed in the hive, and then to find out that they can go up to like a mile or whatever away, and like
Sometimes
for the
further.
flowers, that just surprised me. But that makes total sense that they'll sleep in the hive and then they'll pollinate your flowers and your plants during the day.
Yep.
That's
It's what it's what they do. And it's fair to be afraid. I have been stung more than a few times, but I have found they're much gentler than I ever thought to. If they know you and they kind of they do pretty well.
yeah.
So,
I mean, with my friend living around the corner, like I learned to coexist. Like I have not been stung since I was like 8 years old, but I remember it.
well,
Um,
yeah,
but I would just hang out with the bees and talk to them and not pet them and not make them mad. But I love the idea of that, and I'm like trying to plant milkweed and stuff like that here to attract the
that's amazing.
butterflies and stuff. I'll do my best. Try to.
They need all the support they can get. Bees are having a rough go right now.
Oh
So,
gosh. And so I assume that you're doing bees for like the honey for the allergies and stuff like that. And
yeah,
it's honey. It's super valuable. Oh my gosh. When you have enough to sell, that's crazy cool.
yeah. And being able to, I mean, to have something that goes sort of in like food storage for food stores for later that essentially never goes bad is pretty wild. I read somewhere that if you had to, as a human, you could exist entirely on potatoes and honey. It has pretty much everything you need. Now, I don't know how much happiness you would get out of an existence like that, but interesting to know that you could do it. So,
Yeah, for sure. My goodness. But you've got berries too, so
yeah, there you go.
you don't
Taken
have
care
you don't
of.
have to worry about that, at least.
That's true.
It won't be just honey and potatoes. You'll have berries
Perfect.
and eggs.
That's right. Eggs, as long as I can keep the quail alive on potatoes and honey.
Now, I have to go back to quail. So do quails get broody
So
and
they
lay
can, but the vast majority of quail don't have any maternal instincts. So I read
not gonna
somewhere
sit
that,
on it and hatch it?
yep, nope, they won't. They won't do that. About maybe 10% of hens will. And so there are people who specifically keep those hens and try and teach them to brood. For me, it's just easier when I'm ready to have babies to bring them inside and incubate for 27 days. It's just easier that way.
Wow. Okay. It's so funny to think of those tiny little puffballs as hens and roosters.
Right?
Like, do the roosters have like combs and
They don't.
they
The
don't?
only way that you can tell a rooster from a hen, so there's a few different colorations that occasionally the male will get a more red chest than a female will. But there are, like, I have all blacks that I ordered from a farm down south, and the only way you can tell is to check their vents. So,
And they
uh,
must be very tiny.
they are indeed. So you can also, watch them and kind of watch for who's behaving like a rooster, but there's not a lot of difference between the two. So,
But you know you've got a few.
oh yeah, because you can hear them call. They they
Oh.
call differently than females do. So we know, and we vent sex too because they get a little aggressive if there's too many of them.
Right. Are they loud?
They're loud, but not in the way chickens are. In fact, our neighbors sold their home and then new neighbors came over and they said, "What kind of bird do you have in your backyard?" And I said, "Quail, do they bother you?" And they're like, "No, it's so soothing. We love it. It sounds like a really soft, and the only way I can describe it makes it sound really eerie, and it's not, but like a soft little laugh. Um, it's very sweet. And they only do it in the morning and in the evening, kind of at dusk. So
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to check that out. Um, have you harvested honey?
I have harvested honey. All both years that we've had bees, I have harvested honey. I have a honey spinner and I just do it in my garage. You get a heated knife and cut the top off the comb and put it in your spinner and it will spin it out and just straight into a 5 gallon bucket. Uh, and then you strain it. I do strain my honey because you'll get things in it, but that's all the processing it takes. Um, don't have to run it through a canner, don't have to heat it or any of that stuff. We keep it nice and raw. So
Super cool. Do you use the beeswax, the wax?
I have made 4 candles with beeswax. I had that as all that I have done. Um, Partially because if you can put things back in there with a lot of beeswax still on it, the bees will reuse it. And then you get more honey because they expend less effort trying to rebuild the comb. But what I shave off the top, I will keep, and I have made candles with it, which are super cool because beeswax has a different melting point than other wax. So beeswax lasts a long time.
Right.
Um, I
And they
know,
actually clean the air, right?
yeah,
I've
they're
heard
supposed
that.
to. I will be honest, I haven't burned mine because they're precious to me.
Right? I put so much
Because
work into those.
right, so it's kind of ridiculous. But I know a gal who uses beeswax to make food wraps, reusable food wraps even. So it has a lot of uses. It's a really fun way to to try and be as sustainable as possible. I know people who use beeswax and lip balm and all kinds of things.
I was
So
just gonna say I used beeswax this winter, earlier in the winter, to make lip balm and like a skin balm.
see, that's so
And I
cool.
made beeswax wraps.
Did you really? What
Yeah,
was that process like?
it was not hard. I mean, it was tedious
Okay,
and messy, but they're
fair.
cool.
That's so cool.
And not my beeswax.
It doesn't matter. It's sustainable living in the ways you can do it, like what we were talking about, right? It's about being creative and thrifty and smart and having the idea of circularity with all things. And I
Right.
think that's so cool.
Mhm. Yay. And so you guys, I was saying, when I was introducing Brittany, so she calls her home a micro homestead. And I know we've people have ideas about sustainability and taking care of being sustainable and taking care of yourself and growing your own food and stuff like that. And people think that you have to have like acres and acres and so much land and all this space, and it's just not true. And Brittany is proof of that. You just you use what you have and do as much as you can.
Yeah, it's the whole concept of what is it? Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
Ooh, I've never heard that.
No, it's you know, it's the you utilize what you have in the most creative ways that you can, and I I really love living that way. It's a lot of fun when it's done the right way. You can totally gamify it, right? You can make it miserable.
Oh, heck yeah.
And would it be cool if we had 40 acres and I could grow our own wood for our own? I mean, it would be amazing, but it's not reasonable for my family right now. And so I just do what I can. And I would encourage anybody to do that. Do what you can. Grow a
Right.
tomato plant, make your own salsa. Like, great.
Yeah, totally. And I just love that you're so resourceful with what you have. I just think that's super cool.
I'm trying. There are lots of ways I can improve. I would love to learn how to compost. Um, I would love, and there's always something cool that's out there. There's so many innovative minds in this field that like there's always something new and cool and something I can learn. I mean, I really hope you make a YouTube video or something on how you made beeswax wraps. I think that's so cool. And as a community, we all just band together and learn all the things, right? If I never learned to make beeswax wraps, then maybe I trade blackberries with you so that you have blackberries and I have beeswax
Right. And I can
wraps.
make jam and you can make wraps and or yes.
Yeah, all the things,
Totally.
right?
Yes. And so now you have this business called Vision.
Mhm.
Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So, my sister-in-law and I founded Vision. Vision itself is only about 2 years old because the truth is we started with lingo a little before that. And the idea was that we were going to help businesses connect with customers because we feel like people can't make good decisions without good information. And as consumers, all of us know that we sometimes get lied to. We don't know where to go for good information. Uh, we know that the news can be wrong and that marketing does a lot of things and that there's certain spins on things. So we don't know where to get good information from. So we started as a company called Lingo, and we were trying to make the best information available to everyone in the top 20 languages in the United States. And we loved what we were doing. And then when we took it to investors, they said, "That's really cool. How are you going to make money on it?" Which, we were like, we hadn't really calculated ROI. And so we've evolved over the years, and now we are Vision, and we really focus on helping companies to be transparent with their customers. And my sector of the company is in sustainability and luxury because that is what I am most passionate about is around sustainability and how we really make sure that the things that we're doing are amazing for the planet and amazing for what's coming and amazing for ourselves and for our health and the way that we live. Um, and the reason I got involved with luxury is because so much of the pioneering efforts happen there because they have the money and the open invitation to innovation and excitement and like what can we do that would be different and neat. Um, that's hyper present in luxury. So it's been a really cool thing to sort of touch, like to on the weekends to wear my boots or my crappy tennis shoes and go rake out aviaries and then come in and work with some really cool top minds within the luxury industry during the week. It's a cool juxtaposition, but also it shows me the similarity between all those things and that people who care about sustainability can be found in all facets of life and in every business and industry. That's really cool.
That is really cool. And I like the way that you spun that to like working with luxury that they have the money to try different things and to I mean there's so many like technologies and methods to do things that smaller businesses might not be able to afford. But then if the larger companies can test it out and make sure that it's going to work and see that there's a need for it, then it's something that people can invest in.
100%. And that's what happens is they do all the troubleshooting up here. And then in a couple of years, it's adapted enough that it's ready for consumption for everyone. And all the kinks are worked out. So it's immediately beneficial to a small company or a little farmstead or somebody who doesn't have millions or billions of dollars to invest in that.
Right. Oh gosh. And I love that you were saying also that there's like the marketing part of what you do is I mean the vision, the marketing that you were I'm going to make you talk because I'm not remembering
You're
it
great.
by the words, but you were there's like greenwashing and there's dishonesty and stuff like that. And so you get to be like on the front lines of that and be like, because you said that there was like they don't want customers don't want to know that the company is trying to be sustainable, but they're not quite there.
Right. And so, okay, so what we're seeing is that um, we live in what's called, I think it was Forbes called it like a post-trust world. So customers don't trust their businesses that they're doing business with because they are aware that the truth is not always told. I also believe that businesses don't trust their consumers. And so they don't want to be fully transparent. They're afraid that a customer will say, yeah, but you're not doing everything you could be, right? And sustainability is such a spectrum. There's brown and there's green, and then there's all this space in between that that we don't want to talk about. We think you have to be one or the other.
Right.
That's just not realistic. It's not for homesteading, right? If I don't have 1,000 acres and I'm not doing it the right way, that doesn't mean I'm not homesteading. That doesn't mean I'm not doing what I can. Many businesses are taking steps, but they don't know how to share it and they don't know how to be transparent and they don't want to get in trouble. Now, that doesn't discount the businesses that do it intentionally. I knew about it and then I really became interested in it when I read a book called The Omnivore's Dilemma. I don't know if you have read that book or not, but he talks a lot about the marketing from some of the really big sort of organic companies or sustainable companies, and how so much of it is just about creative storytelling. And that if you actually look into it, what they're doing is not great for the planet. He talks about big organics and how just because something is naturally occurring in nature does not mean that it's better for the environment. It's silver cyanide is not better to dump in a lake than, you
Right.
know, than these other things. And he that really opened my eyes to what's being done in the industry and how people can be taken advantage of. But even more than that, that a company could stumble into saying something and not even realize that they've done the wrong thing because they don't know what to share and they don't know how to share it. So I want to be in the business of rewarding companies that take even small steps and then say, hey, we're on a journey. Come along with us. Tell us what matters to you. Engage with us, and we will do those things because we can't get to a goal unless we do it together.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's freaking fantastic. What is
Yeah.
that? What is that book called again? Something omnivore?
The Omnivore's Dilemma.
Oh, okay.
Super insightful, really good read, and even I think it's on Audible, and it's really engaging. It's a long book, but it's fascinating,
Okay.
really fascinating.
I'm gonna put that in the show notes too because that just sounds really, really interesting. And I just love what you're doing. I think that's so fantastic. I love that you get to be creative and you get to help the companies to gain trust and to show what they are really about.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. I know that so marketing and AI and all the algorithms get a really bad rap because companies use it wrong. Like you say something around your phone and then it shows up in Amazon the next day and you're like, well, that's creepy, right? But companies have to be able to walk the line between like knowing what their customer wants and also um not being a creepy stalker,
Totally.
right? And so it's learning to speak directly and in the moments that matter that
Mm.
I think makes a big difference.
Absolutely. I love that you're doing this because I did not know that that was a thing.
Thank you. We're very excited about it.
Are
It's
there
been,
specific types of businesses that you're working with in case anybody's interested?
yeah, there's quite a few. We work in the public information sector. Actually, there's a really cool thing we just launched around preventing human trafficking with a company called Justice U, where we're working inside the health sector to educate doctors and nurses on what that looks like. We also work really heavily in the ag sector, helping farmers on both sides, both to train their staff so that the right things are done, and then also to talk to their consumers about what they're doing on their farms, why it's special, why buying strawberries from this person makes a different impact than buying strawberries from another person. Like I said, I work really my sector is really in luxury and sustainability. So one of my favorite stories is I work with a designer out of Italy who designs shoes that are designed to be comfortable for women. And you can wear high heels for a long time and they're beautiful. But one of my favorite things was going to his factory in Italy and seeing how he ran it, seeing the people there. There was living plants inside of his factory. There was a puppy inside his factory. There were real people and the things that he does to be friendly inside the industry and to run things sustainably. And there's uh, you would be shocked. I know sometimes in America, especially, we feel like we're alone in the idea of sustainability or that people don't really want it. They do. And there's huge steps being taken forward. There's a company called Spatafora out of Italy who makes these bottled juice beverages that are totally preservative free and like all of these crazy things. He and his family live on the property. They have a garden on the property where they grow their own pomegranates. And the factory has been in their family for over 100 years, but he's just put all of these solar panels on top. And they do things in such a clean and beautiful way. We're not alone in sustainability. We just actively have to look for it still.
Totally. I think that's fantastic. I mean, the solar panels on the roof makes so much sense. I mean,
Mhm.
what else is the roof doing?
Right. It's just sitting there, right?
Use the space, man.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And I have a past podcast guest who's, I want to say her dad was a shoemaker in Italy. And
Really?
when you were
How
saying that, I
cool.
was like, I wonder if that's Sonia's dad.
It's not because I know he doesn't have any biological children, but there are cool, like Italy is doing those things, and there's amazing things happening in Britain and really everywhere. Like you would be so shocked. Brazil and Argentina were just on the World Forum for what they're doing. It's unreal and it's there. And I'm trying to do it and you're doing it with the things that you're doing. We are all a community and we just have to support each other and build each other and teach each other how to make beeswax wraps and like all the things, right?
Totally. Absolutely. Um, Thank you for that. And I want to, before we close up, you had said on your guest form, Brittany, you said if you want more sustainability, adopt little changes that interweave into your life until it becomes part of you.
Yeah, that's something that I believe in. We can all do little things and it does become a mindset as you just become a little more thoughtful, right? I talked to someone the other day who said I'm learning to turn off the water as I brush my teeth in the morning. It's such a small thing and great
Mhm.
because thoughts become words. I think we've all heard this before, right? Words become actions and actions become habits. It becomes part of who you are. And then it changes the world because you were different and you did something small. Take a reusable bag to the grocery store, make beeswax wraps, trade someone your zucchini for their cucumber. You know, not all of us can make our own cheese or our own yogurt, but there's things you can do. And then always the things that we can do, regardless, is to support others with our words who are doing something amazing. What you're doing on your podcast gives a voice to people who are working for something. What an amazing gift to give people when someone shares something on social media or even right now. And here's a little factoid for you because I work in marketing. If you save it on social media, it's worth so much more in an algorithm than if you just comment on it or act with it because it means it's valuable to you. So if you see something on Instagram and you really love a sustainability thing that someone's doing, save the video. And you've done them an act of service that means something to them and that will change the algorithms for them. There are things all of us can do.
That's big. I didn't know that. I know
Yeah.
I've always I like things and I comment on things and I'll share it with people, obviously, but
Yep.
like saving, I didn't think about that.
It's sort of new in the algorithms. They're realizing that if people are saving things, that means it's actually really special. And obviously, commenting is always a big deal, but we engage with social media differently here in America than they do elsewhere. And saving is a big piece of the algorithms right now.
You guys hear that? Save the stuff.
Yeah.
Save it.
Save it.
Support. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So, when I say the word sustainability, Brittany, what does that mean to you?
Sustainability really means, I mean, there's so many things, but it's about creating a mindset for something that we can sustain, something that will work into the future. That's why I say take something small and adopt it into you. Sustainability is taking little steps every day, intentional steps every day to weave a life that will be better for you in the future and better for someone else in the future too. about being kind to yourself, others, and the planet.
Mm. That's really deep. I mean, it's like it's so simple, but at the same time, like, duh, yes. That's really powerful. Thank you.
Um,
And then how can people, if they're like, oh my gosh, I need more of this Brittany person, like how do I find her?
The easiest way probably is through my LinkedIn. If you are interested in Vision, I can send the link for that. We're Vision with three eyes in the beginning because we'll give you the third eye view. But definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. And even if you just want to know more about quail, like I'm always happy to chat with anybody for any reason. So hit me up and shoot me a message. I'm happy to hear from anybody. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. This has been super fun.
you are amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really inspired by you and what you're doing. Way to go.
Back at you. Thanks, Brittany.